Fast as lightning, sharp as a sword. Greetings, YouTube. I'm Lightning Sword, and I have a question for you all. Have you ever heard of the Rashomon effect? You know, an event described from several different perspectives that are so different you'd get 3 different stories? No? Neither did the writers up until recently, because it took them 6 seasons to come up with P.P.O.V, Pony Point of View. Weird. Anyway, I was hoping for a fresh take on an old trope, and I pretty much got it. But it didn't really have that big of an effect on me. Hopefully I'll be able to make that clearer as we go along. Let's jump in. The episode starts with exposition! Twilight, take it away!
It's just Pinkie Pie, Rarity, and Applejack are getting back from their Seaward Shoals boat trip, and I can't wait to hear all about it!
And she didn't say a word of that when she and Spike left the palace today, so that was clearly for Spike's benefit, even though Spike seems to already know, otherwise he wouldn't be there nitpicking.
Such a shame Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy had to miss it for their Cloudsdale Flight School reunion.
Please don't make that an episode. Please don't make that an episode. But Twilight is let down from her reverie pretty quickly when the trio returns from their trip. They look like they just got off the Titanic. I would say too soon, but it's really not. So in an attempt to find out what went down, Twilight invites all 3 to the palace for tea. What she gets instead...
Come on in, every pony! Gummy opalescence in Winona? This is a surprise.
Question! Who knocked? You know what? Screw it. I don't want to know.
Sorry, darling, but I must decline the invitation to your soiree. There are certain ponies I'd rather not associate with at the moment. Rarity.
Rarity's not coming? So I polished my scales for nothing.
And the writers still have not addressed Spike's crush on Rarity in a dignified way. And I know they know it's still foolish to carry it on. We wouldn't have gotten this reaction otherwise. Hey, Twilight!
Get that lampshade off your head!
Sorry I can't make it, but I'm still a mite upset about everything that happened on the boat. Applejack. Sorry I can't make the tea party today, but there's a small problem with the guest list. Pinkie.
Well, now the challenge is on to find out from them why they suddenly hate each other. Rarity first.
Bagwan, me be a spirit animal, and me here to tell you how to mash up that bomber clock.
My mane wasn't made to support marine life.
After that quick crab walk, Rarity explains from her perspective alone that her plans for a luxury cruise ran into complications. And by complications, she means Applejack.
The sea air carries a portent for trouble this day. 'Tis a treacherous and perilous journey. We sail to adventure or our very doom.
So... Rarity thinks Applejack is a pirate?
Yar! Har har har! Hardy har har har!
That's very interesting.
Well, having gotten the whole story from Rarity, Twilight and Spike move on to Pinkie Pie for a second opinion. You begin to see already how the episode relies on the Rashomon effect. Pinkie and Rarity give starkly different accounts of the same event, and you can bet AJ's account will be more different still. According to Pinkie, she tried to throw a party on the boat ride, and it was Rarity who messed it all up.
A day of opulence, decadence, and extravagance!
And I'm quite certain I'm the only one bothered by the fact that each and every one of them are stallions. Just goes to show you, feminine wiles are a dangerous thing. Please flirt responsibly. So with Pinkie suddenly experiencing a kitchen nightmare, Twi and Spike go on to Applejack for the rest of the info. At this point, since Rarity blames AJ and Pinkie blames Rarity, you would think AJ blames Pinkie, right? Yeah, that's what I thought so too.
Well, I brought a treasure map to give them a rip-roaring seafaring adventure. But they had other ideas.
Yeah, she blames them both. But to be fair, I haven't had my expectations subverted like this since every episode of Steven Universe ever. You know, I knew Applejack's character was suffering in Season 6, but to think she sees her own friend as a moron?
And more fun than you can shake a stick at. Because I brought a stick.
And it doesn't stop there. That's not even the lowest she considers her friends.
Oh, darling. Walking is a base pastime for common ponies. Doesn't interest me in the least.
Yep. She thinks Rarity is an arrogant prude. They couldn't make Applejack walk the plank or something. So, as I mentioned, this episode relies predominantly on the Rashomon style of storytelling, and we can thank our old friend Akira Kurosawa for that one. It's a style that many cartoons in the past have already done, which include, but are not limited to, Animaniacs, Garfield and Friends, Ed, Edd n Eddy, the Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Codename Kids Next Door, and Time Squad. What? Doesn't anyone remember Time Squad? Come on, that shit was hilarious! Anyway, here are the main differences to the stories. Rarity said she brought one bag and a life vest, that Applejack threw her food off the boat and gave Blackbeard a run for his doubloons. She was more than willing to play Pinky's game. AJ drove them straight into the storm, and by the end of it...
Oh, the boat sank, obviously.
Rarity? Honey, I love you. I really do. But...
You're full of shit.
Pinky said that she was relatively chill throughout the ordeal. That Rarity overpacked and overdressed, threw her own food over the boat, and laughed at Pinky's game while AJ was more than willing to play. Rarity led them straight into the storm without even trying to steer, and...
That's why the boat sinking was all Rarity's fault.
And Applejack said Rarity acted snotty and Pinky acted like a twit. The food being thrown off the boat was an accident. No one wanted to play Pinky's games. The storm came to them, and Rarity and Pinky distracted AJ from getting them away, and thusly the boat sank.
Do you want to say it or should I?
I'll go. That sure doesn't sound like...
I told you to get that lampshade out of here! The constants, though, are there as well, as it is in every splintered perspective scenario. They got on the boat. The food went overboard. There was a piñata, a storm, and a game of tug-of-war over a map, then the boat capsized. But no, that's not enough for Twilight. So the trick is to get these three to stop acting like babies and apologize. Twilight uses what any good, responsible friend would use in her situation.
Winona brought me your note about a friendship emergency.
What's the emergency? Your note about the emergency!
False pretenses!
What's she doing here? Sorry, but I just didn't know how else to get the three of you here together. And there really is a friendship emergency. Yours.
Will somebody please tell me how you made it back?
It wasn't the middle of the ocean.
Question! How did that big, huge boat sink in water that is clearly only ankle deep? You know what? Screw it. I don't want to know. So, evidently, Twilight knows exactly what happened and offers to prove it on the boat. And the three stooges each think their accounts will be proven.
While all of your stories seem very different, they all had something in common.
Cucumber sandwiches.
What in the hay does that have to do with anything?
You also mentioned the bubbling water. And the swell.
Cucumber just happens to be the favorite food of
The tri-horned bunyip. And bubbles, followed by a swell, is what happens when they swim up to the shallows from deep water. Hello, bunyip, sir.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and call... None of them made any of that even remotely obvious in any of their retellings of the story. And they also each said that there was a storm they couldn't get away from, which is much more likely to capsize a boat than some big cuddly water lizard. And cucumbers just happen to be its favorite food? Really? Ugh. At least we get more creature lore. And Aboriginal Australian creature lore at that. So then Twilight explains that the only reason their plans failed is because none of them realized the others had plans. So each of them stepped on each other so much, no one could have fun.
Oh!
Also, something I didn't catch on the first watch, their frustrations peaked after the boat sank, and they were only angry with each other because of it. I didn't expect that to be where the twist would be, but I will admit it's rather clever. And it was presented fairly well, too. Leaving us to figure out for ourselves was a very mature move for the writers. Good on you, Fox Brothers. You saved yourselves from mediocrity. Sort of. So that was P.P.O.V, and it was okay. Like with many MLP episodes, it takes an old trope and does something a bit differently. I personally hoped it would do the Rashomon trope differently, but I still thought spinning a different take on the aftermath was clever, and Spike and Rarity got in much of the episode's humor, separately, surprisingly enough, and not needing to depend on each other and their annoying pseudo-romantic subplot for laughs.
Oh, you were serious?
Aside from that, though, not really a lot to talk about. Another simple yet humorous slice-of-life episode. I would say that this is another the cart before the ponies case due to 3 of the main 6 having such low opinions of one another and acting bratty to each other, but At least there's a decent explanation here. Anger makes people say and do stupid things, especially if it comes from having other people ignore or ruin your best laid plans. All that effort wasted with nothing to show for it? That would certainly piss me off. I'd even stop talking to my friends for a while after that. Now, entering a kindergartner's kart race to fulfill your own selfish desires? That's still criminally OOC, and those three should be ashamed. This time, though, I give it a pass. It's a bit far-fetched in places and doesn't really do anything new in ways we've come to expect from the MLP staff, but I can't help but feel grateful that this wasn't another The Cart Before the Ponies. And fortunately for this episode, it falls just above the pit of ho-hum Season 6 episodes like On Your Marks, 28 Pranks Later, and Dungeons and Discords. Not perfect, but not incredibly horrible either. Basically just good. Well, now that that's done, I'm going to go pray to Celestia that Top Bolt won't make me go completely psycho. Special thanks to my new editor, BigApplePie, for prettying up this video. Hopefully his editing work is a little more appealing than mine. If you like the review, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, support me on Patreon, and I'll be back with a new video soon. Until then, this is Lightning Sword. Stay quick, stay sharp, and thanks for watching. Okay, seriously, I have got to find some old episodes of this.